know what it is, what sets people apart that are able to find, I'm sure you know the term Ikigai.
Heard of it, yeah.
Ikigai. So it's for those of you that are listening, look it up because it's a beautiful kind of Japanese sort of flower where in the middle is your meaning, yourself, and then the four petals are what you're good at, what you love doing, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. And if you're in that center of that, you're living your best life. You're living your reason for being. And to be able to find that and to build a career around that is such an incredible gift. And even if it has to be readjusted at times, okay, world's needs change. During COVID, suddenly the needs became not in-person workshops or meetings. It became being able to do this remote. And it took some time to recalibrate that into, okay, now most of my meetings are done remotely. I adore when I had a live public speech last week, and it was so much fun to be in the room with people. I still don't take it for granted, even though we're 5 years from this crazy, exactly, right? February, March, it was all starting to happen. But it's finding the growth in the devastation.
Welcome to Connecting the Dots. I'm your host, Jessica Caresse, and this space is a place where we talk about seemingly random topics, but in all actuality, they're connected together. And today's episode is sponsored by J. Caresse & Company, a management consulting firm that helps you with any of your technological and project management needs and data migration needs. And today we have a very, very, very special guest. Her name is Donna Griffit. She's a world-renowned corporate storyteller, pitch alchemist, and best-selling author of Sticking to My Story, The Alchemy of Storytelling for Startups. Donna has worked globally for 2 decades in over 30 countries with Fortune 500 companies, startups, and investors in a wide variety of industries, helping them create, edit, and deliver powerful presentations, pitches, and messages. She magically spins raw data into compelling stories that captivate audiences and drive results. Through her guidance, clients have raised over $2 billion. Okay, Donna. Donna's also a communication coach for Stanford's Graduate School of Business, helping leaders of tomorrow become stellar communicators. And then for more info, go to donnagriffit.com. Donna.
Hello. Welcome. Good to see you again.
Good to see you again, too. We met through our friend Joe, and I absolutely loved your story on his podcast, and you gave me like a little snippet. So I'm like, Donna, I need to hear more about you.
Well, it's always wonderful to connect with people you meet serendipitously. Serendipity seems to kind of be a recurring theme in life for me, which I'm thrilled about.
Yeah, me too. I love it. I love it so much. And so, Donna, so what does your day-to-day look like? Like, tell me, paint a picture of what your life is currently like. Like, I like to put myself in other people's shoes just to, kind of, I guess, frame the conversation, and I can pick out which questions I want to ask. So what does your day-to-day look like?
So no day for me is like the one before it. I guess that such is the life of a solopreneur. It's got its pluses and minuses, as I'm sure you know. On the one hand, you get to control your schedule. On the other hand, you have to generate your schedule. So it can be different from this morning. I coached a billionaire who's actually going to raise $350 million on something that's already got $60 million invested in it that's going to revolutionize the world of fitness and wellness. So I had written a script. He's meeting with a group of Saudi investors on Sunday, and he needed like this kind of quick pitch, and I had to hold his attention and tailor the words for him. And so that's how the day started. And then I had several intro to client calls and got to learn about incredible startups that are out there doing amazing things. Then my girls are off this week, so I got to have lunch and hang out with them a bit, and my husband too in between meetings. We kind of like cross and occasionally get to sit down, and our relaxation is playing backgammon. That's like one of the glues that has held us together. When we met 14 years ago in March, it was our first date. So when we met, he insisted on teaching me backgammon. He said, we cannot date if you don't know how to play backgammon. So every day, almost for the past 14 years, we've played at least like 3 games, like in a row. It's like our little tournaments, and we keep score. And it's
Who's
like
winning?
it's
Who's
our
winning?
time to kind of reconnect, and it never gets boring. And I think, I was thinking today, if I had to give a tip to anyone on keeping a relationship alive, it would be playing, like really finding something that bonds, that connects. And then I've got this amazing interview now. And then I have a few more calls, and I'm going to go take my girls to the library. And, that's the beauty of it. It's like a different thing every day. Tomorrow, I have a client that already exited, and we worked on his first pitch deck. And tomorrow, we're going to work on his new startup, which is super exciting because it's like we get to start from scratch all over again. So, never a dull moment, always interesting, always vibrant and different. And I feel so blessed to be able to have that kind of variance in my life.
Yeah. Donna, you like listed out so much and just describing your day to day,
It's a box of chocolates for you, Jessica. Choose your adventure.
It really is, right? Like, which way do I want to go? There was so much that you packed on there because I'll start with three. One was just the concept of coaching a billionaire because people are like billionaires, oh my God, right? So that's
I know it's a bit daunting.
mm-hmm. Second is you literally designed your life, right? So it sounds like you do what makes you happy. And then the third thing is the bonding and like common ground that you have like with your husband and your family, the relationship thing, right? So it's like something that brings play, fun, joy, like connectivity, and you guys are just bonding and just high energy. So it's like you kind of implant those memories with each other, like, oh, we always have fun together. We always have a great time playing badminton together, like
It's not always a great time, but it's sort of like our equalizer. It's like this thing that kind of just brings us back and puts us back on the same wavelength. So I can't say life is always fun. I'm not going to lie and say we're both entrepreneurs. He's in meetings with a major NBA sports team as we speak, and then investors, and there's like always this level of uncertainty, but it's important to then be able to kind of connect back.
yeah,
But
but that means you guys
play is
have even
important.
more in common, like you guys are both dealing with high profile people. So it's like you kind of can feed each other like the strategy, managing yourself, how to approach the situation, navigating. Oh, I'm not quite sure about this. Like you have like a legit sounding board for what you're doing, which is also very
Totally.
important.
We never run out of topics to talk about. Um, and it's not only just family things or kids things or busy work things. It's intellectually stimulating. We get each other on the same wavelength, and I think that's such a blessing to have, because you want to keep it fresh and interesting, and you want to like feel and, and like as we were playing, he's like, "You're so tough with me." I'm like, "But you chose that." And he's like, maybe I made a mistake. I'm like, it's too late now to fix that. And I'm like, hey, if you had had anyone less tough, then you would have been bored. And when you never thought this would last 14 years, like, I still can't believe it. So so it's like we get in a lot of ways. Um, you got to be careful what you wish for, because you can get it and it's not necessarily in the packaging that you thought you'd get it in.
Yeah.
But when you look at it from like this kind of macro vision, you're like, oh my God, that is exactly what I needed. And it's very important to like kind of put it out there in the way that you want and you wish. And it's not like, oh, I want someone with blue eyes that's 6 feet tall and whatever. And I'm not just saying like in a partner in life. It's just like putting out there the kind of life you want to, like you said, design for yourself. And again, it's not always going to show up in the form you want it. Sometimes there'll be ups and there'll be downs that you can't doubt. Even in the times where there's like suddenly a dip, it's there for a reason to go back up. Yes, I see you. You're like, yeah.
The doubt.
Yep.
Yes, the doubt is a thing because I think probably last week I was chatting with a couple of people. I recently started like networking locally. I live in Fort Lauderdale, so just getting involved with a couple different groups. I love golf, so I'm in the golf community. So I talked to a couple women there, and the self doubt is something that's really hard to get rid of.
Oh, so
So
hard.
how are you able to master that one?
Well, I think I've been doing this long enough to know that in times of like uncertainty, it will work itself out. And it's okay to go into panic mode a little bit because if you let it motivate you and not paralyze you, because it's like, okay, here's a signal that something needs to be readjusted, something needs to be up leveled. It's like you'd upgrade your software. If you think about it, the software of your life and your operating system, just like our computer is constantly updating itself, constantly bringing in things that we don't even see. It's happening in the background. And sometimes it's like, hey, you need to update this, click here. So you have to take an action. It's funny. I've never thought of it this way. You're bringing out new metaphors for me. Um, but it's being proactive in saying, okay, so there's a dip now, there's a quiet, there's like this lull in the conversation. What do I have to do? So one of the things we did last week was I'm creating an AI tool that analyzes pitch decks called Deck Check, which will be launching soon. And it helps people kind of free put their deck in, and I designed it based on my sticking to my story methodology that I laid out in the book, and kind of scored the questioning, the questions it would ask to give people a score and then an assessment and kind of tips how they can make it better. And I'm doing a bunch of testing now to refine it because like someone got a high score and their deck looked like I don't even want to
That's why
start.
you
And I'm
said.
like, okay, need to also add in something about overload of text, and that will take points off. So it's like I'm learning this whole thing, and I'm very much about embracing AI. And ChatGPT and I are good buddies. He says she, my Jarvis to the Jarvis to my Iron Man. So
Yeah.
it's like this really cool thing where you can say, listen, I'm not going to be replaced by AI, and how can we help like build things together and
Mhm.
embrace that future. So for me, the minute we went into proactive mode, when I say we, my husband, he's always pushing me to do these new things. As an entrepreneur, he always has ideas for my business as well, and I'm always working on his messaging. And once you're proactive, like you start to spin the wheels into motion. And
Yeah.
then one thing happens. So I get a call from another old client that exited who connected me. He's consulting for this billionaire now. Oh my gosh, they have this rush meeting. Boom, 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 boom. We got it up. And it's like, okay, all of a sudden the week started to fill up. And then this other, and these other. So it's like I truly see how when we put this energy out and this kind of synergy and motion, you never know which wheel is going to turn and bring you something else. It's amazing. It really is.
You described that so beautifully.
Thank
Beautifully.
you.
Beautifully. You described that.
Beautifully. I like that. Beautifully. It sounds like something from Wicked, right?
It does, right? Maybe we should start making up some words to make the English language a little bit more complex now.
I'm all for that. In my book, I made up a few words, and I'm like, this is something I made up. Please don't use it because you will probably be looked at a little weirdly, but for insider purposes, like I say it, you have to have in your deck, you have to have um, monetization, differentiation, and opportunization. But I'm very careful to say that's not really a word. It rhymes with the other, so it's easier to understand. So it's okay to make up words. Just make sure you don't use them in your everyday vernacular, or
Yeah.
you can.
There's one I use in my everyday, and that one's fantabulous.
Ooh, I love it.
Yeah.
Fantabulous.
Fantabulous. I'm fantastic and fabulous at the same time.
Yes,
Hello.
just like yeah. Well, that you get right away what that means. It's like an amplification of fantastic. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I feel like for me, I always I it's like this synchronicity of when you're true to yourself, believe in yourself, there's no doubt, and you give, right? And you receive, but then it's like as you're giving, it like has this invisible butterfly effect.
Mm.
I'm a nerd, so I like a couple, maybe like last year or year before, I was like binge watching videos about like nonlinear dynamics and like chaos theory. And so it's quite interesting when you like kind of pair like your own subjective experiences with some of these like science concepts like that. And you think about all the just the random things that happen as you like really put like gave out value to the world. And then you have all these series of events that just kind of trickle down after that. And it's like you described it really perfectly, like that synergistic energy that you put out. And then all of a sudden, all this stuff just starts happening. You're like, oh my God, it's so crazy.
Well, and what we have to do when those things happen to me, it's first of all, be in perpetual motion, not get, like I said, paralyzed with fear. Because sometimes these are like tests. It's like the universe or the higher power or karma or whatever, or God, whatever you want to call it, whatever you believe in. And these tests are the moments of grace of like, okay, how do we handle this? How do we prove ourselves? It's like an obstacle or a quest moving level up. So to be in motion, to try different things, and also to pay attention to the things that signal back to us, because we could be down with our head on our phone and miss some billboard that had a message for us. I mean, just a literal thing that happened on the weekend. We drove to Modesto on the weekend, which is the almond capital of California. And the almonds are the first trees to blossom. And we try to make a habit in the spring of going and seeing, because the trees are just so incredible. And
Mm,
we were probably one weekend before the peak. This weekend's going to be peak weekend. And the restaurant we had eaten at last year was closed because it was a holiday weekend. And I'm like, okay, where should we go? And suddenly I picked my eyes up from looking at Yelp, and there's this billboard that says Bistro 120, 1.5 miles ahead. And I checked it out, had really good rating. It turned out to be amazing. And I'm like, okay, that's a literal metaphor of picking up your eyes and looking at billboards. Like literally, it happened. But there's so many times that figuratively that happens in our life. Someone we meet, something that we hear, something that we see on the internet, something that like you get these little twinges. You get them sometimes, those little twinges in your gut.
yeah.
And it's like you have this like electric feeling, and you're like, okay,
Yes.
what is that? And
Yes.
not ignoring it, and not, saying whatever. And it's not like, I feel like in a way this could be taken as a hug treeing moment, and tree hugging moment, tree hugging moment, where it's like, oh, it's not just a spiritual thing. I think that it's the energy that humans put out between each other,
Exactly.
which is
Exactly.
exactly what that energy is that moves things forward.
It's true. It's true, Donna. It's really true. So, and the reason why I 100% believe it's true, just because like I was pre-med in my undergraduate. So I did all the sciences. I did biology, chemistry, physics, organic
Wow,
chemistry. Yeah.
hardcore stuff, lady.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then like I was crazy and thought that I wanted to go to medical school again. And I redid everything while I was working full time with a side hustle in 2019 to redo all the sciences again and all this stuff just because so
2019.
it's kind of fresh, right? And taking the MCAT, like I'm nuts. But there's a basic chemistry biology within the human body. Like your body has like different chemical gradients. Like there's always something moving in your body. Like there's always some type of process going on. Like your metabolic process, was it like glycolysis, for example? If whoever wants to listen and look, just an example, your body's in some type of movement.
Mm.
And so when you pair on chemistry and physics in there, when there's like some type of charge, it creates an electromagnetic field. So your whole body is just moving with just charges, right? Your whole body is an electromagnetic field. And like the more you love yourself, the more you pour into yourself, the more, right? So that's why the East Asian religion, they talk about the chakra systems, because it's true. You have different energy. And so when you're interacting with someone and their heart is pure, you can feel when people have like pure hearts. It's just like a crazy magnetic thing that goes on. And then you guys are both excited about something. You're like, yes, this is fantastic. Then it just goes like,
Yeah. And it's a true like like almost like an electronic surge that
Yes.
you can literally probably measure if you had a tool to do it. And I love hearing you say that it's scientifically grounded. Like I remember reading Deepak Chopra, who said that, our cells are continuously changing and shedding. So
Yep.
literally our physical body is not the same that it was 7 years
Nope.
ago. It's like
Nope.
we've completely changed all of our cells. And
Yep.
I find that to be really inspiring because we don't have to be stuck in who we were. We can choose. Obviously, I think we have like these core values
Yes.
that don't change that much, even though I think that life things can
Yeah.
happen that truly can shake up our value systems and kind of
Yes.
move them, which is also exciting to still be able to be surprised, even
Yeah.
if it's a tragedy, to be able to be like, okay, wait, what's going on? I need to re-examine the world. I need to re-examine my beliefs. And I mean, I went through something like that like a year and a half ago, and here I am nearing 50, and I have a completely different perspective
A
on
year and
life.
a half ago, Donna. So mid 2023.
2023, yeah, yeah,
Me too.
yeah.
Yes.
Wow. Talk about yeah,
Literally the same exact time frame. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I'm an optimist with every grain of my being, and I always have been. And I see optimism as a choice. Even let's call it a religion, because I think it's a choice that I make every day to see things through the lens of an optimist, and using the words of Winston Churchill, which is like my mantra in life. Of course, I'm an optimist. I don't see much point in being anything else. I think that negative energies really weigh us down, whereas positive energies are a fuel that propels us forward.
Yeah.
And look, I've got my days. I think Monday was one of those
Human.
days I was sick. Everything kept literally falling out of my hands. Installed things wrong. And like at the end of the night, my husband was just like, this really hasn't been your day, has it? And I'm like, no, I better go to sleep before I make any more fatal errors. And sometimes you just have to kind of resign yourself to like, it's just one of those days. Tomorrow will be better. Go to sleep, reset. That's kind of our reset button, I think, in life, or reboot.
Yeah.
Um, and it's a choice to see, even within super, super dark times,
Yeah.
that this is happening for a reason.
Yeah.
And we may not know that reason yet, but to keep faith in the fact that wherever we're heading is the right place. If I think if we're motivated through good.
Yes.
So I mean, it's funny that like I don't know if we would have had the same conversation had we spoken last week. It's funny how things just, kind of pop up and are present for us in certain ways and certain times.
You know what I'm finding? I'm finding the more you let go of the negative beliefs, and then even for myself, like I recently kind of shed some really core, like even like religious kind of beliefs. I had shed it a little bit just because like I grew up Christian. And so there's there's a couple of stories that you're told about the Bible. So then it just imprints in your head like,
Amen.
oh, no matter how good you are, there's always going to be someone that betrays you, type of thing, right? Like, so then that immediately makes you not want to trust people,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? So it's like I had to get rid of that limiting belief for myself. Like, no. Like, I believe in God, Jesus, me personally, right? So then it's
Mhm.
like, okay, no, there's is such thing as unconditional love, and I do believe that there are people in my life that love me unconditionally and that will support me and guide me like they've been doing my whole life, and it's strangers too. So it's like I had to shed that limiting belief, and then as soon as I did that, like I was shown so much more love, like so much love just started pouring into my life. I'm like, oh my God, okay.
And you know what? It may sound to some people like you're being naive and trusting too much, and you're going to get screwed over because people will see that as a vulnerability. Granted, it could happen, but if you live your life from the place of I'm going to be screwed over, it's almost like you're projecting that into the world and inviting
Yeah.
it. And then it happens, you're like, aha, see, I
Yeah.
told you. Rather
Confirmation
than,
bias.
okay,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. Rather than like, okay, so I met a bad person, I made a bad judgment call. One in how many?
Exactly.
What did I learn from that? How am I going to prevent that from happening next time? Listen to my gut, ask better questions next.
Exactly. Exactly. That's the only thing you can do because you still wake up the next day, right? Like you hit a wall, you hit something bad. What are you going to do? Like go back to what you were doing before? Change paths, start from scratch?
No,
No.
it's a little bump in the road and it's like Monopoly. Okay. So you land on the go to jail card. Okay. And then you wait for your next turn. You're out and you just keep going. You keep moving.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. Donna, so now this is where some more heavier stuff is going to come into because getting to this type of mindset is not easy.
Nope, it's not.
It's a lot of work.
It is. It is. And you know what? I feel very fortunate that I did a lot of this work in my 20s. I cleaned house. I at least got rid of the inherited beliefs and loads that like we get from our parents. I love my mom and I inherited a lot of her stuff
Yeah.
her crap that she never cleaned up. And as the oldest child, I kind of was shouldering that load. And I was really lucky in my 20s to have an amazing therapist and then to realize, okay, I'm probably not going to find my life partner in my 20s. So if it's not happening yet, then let's use this time to explore. And I did, retreats and this and that and coaching and I studied NLP and was a practitioner myself and all these things that like it's about creating a clearing, creating a space for them to say, okay, I don't want my future children, who are now my present children, to inherit my crap. It's not fair to them. They didn't
Yeah.
ask to be born. I'm responsible for that. I created them for my own selfish purposes. Kids don't ask to be born. So for me, it was about, okay, I'm going to make my mistakes as a mom for sure. But what can I be cognizant of not like falling into automatic behaviors? And I'm still learning and I'm still refining. But I think if you do a bulk of the work before you have a family, before you get married, before you make commitments, before you bring another life into the world, before you like, and also for me, I think my career had a huge part in my life, and I was doing a lot of traveling before. So by the time I met my husband when I was 34, I had already satisfied a lot of the me kind of things. So I didn't feel like I was sacrificing anything.
Mhm.
And we've traveled and gone places for work, and the girls just come along. It's just part of the life. And I think it's really, really important to not like if something's not happening, know that, maybe there's a reason that it's not happening yet. And what can be done in the interim.
Yes, Donna. That
I
is so
love that
true.
smile, Jessica.
I love it. No, seriously, seriously. Like, cause like for myself, I made the decision actually this time last year where I'm like, I'm going to step off into entrepreneurship and we're going to see what happens. And I'm like, I'm going to start a consulting firm, whatever. And yeah, I had no network, Donna. I had nothing. You know what I mean? Like, and so when I first was trying to start everything, because I have a lot of experience in what I do, but I didn't have any experience with how to grow a business. I
Mm,
had a lot of
mm.
experience in helping people with what they already had to grow, right? Because I'm a numbers person. I take data, like just kind of like how like you take data from people telling you what they want and you turn it into a story. I
Yeah.
take your literal data and I see, oh, this is what happened in your business. Okay, this is what we need to do, right? But I didn't know how to what I do to translate that into a business, actually go out into the world and be like, hey guys, this is what I do. This is what I'm capable of. I can help you. There was a lot. And so, like, when I first was getting started with learning how to sell and I was trying, I'm the type to learn and apply. I wasn't getting any sales. I wasn't getting inbound. I was trying to do LinkedIn ads. I was trying to do all these things. And like, I was just leveraging surface level tactics that I found on the
Mm.
internet. So then again, like I get a coach, I get some support groups like for entrepreneurs and all that stuff. And then it turned back into, oh no, just focus on you and your beingness. I'm like, oh, I'm good at that. All right, let me do that. And then like as
It's like The Alchemist. It was there all the time. You just had to go on this rotary journey to make your way back to what was there.
exactly. And you are the third person to mention that name, that word to me this week. I need to read that book. Someone told me to read the Alchemist book, so I'm
Oh
gonna
my
read
gosh, you have to.
yeah.
And then you'll understand why I call myself a pitch alchemist because, with alchemy being it's like the transformation of elements that are already precious into something even more amazing. But the book, The Alchemist, is like one of
Yeah.
those life-changing books that you read that you're like, oh, so yeah,
I read that book years ago and it made me hungry. So now I need to
hungry.
read it again after being full. And I'm like, okay, let me see what I can get from it now. Right.
Okay.
Like, so
Interesting. Different
yeah,
parts of the journey. It's like life doesn't move linearly. It moves in a spiral.
it
And it's
does.
like sometimes we'll reach the same point we were at, but from a higher position. But I have to
Exactly.
ask, what made you decide not to go back into medicine in 2019? You didn't finish that story. Now I'm
Oh, yeah.
interviewing you back.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. So I was really particular with which schools I wanted to go to because I was married and my husband, we have a music school. So we have a brick and mortar here in Florida.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, and so it's like it was a split decision between like how far do I really want to push and like apply across the United States and all that stuff and like risk being away from home for 4 years versus okay, let me just see if I can get to a local school, which is very very hard actually, and then stay as close to home as possible, or okay, like I mean, like in the back of my head we didn't have our house at the time, so I'm like okay, but there's also the house thing. We want to buy a house, so I had applied to just Florida schools, didn't get into any of them. The thing that was interesting was that my MCAT actually improved from when I first took it when I was in college. But the competition to get in medical school changed drastically, where you would have to actually get a master's in some biomedical field on top of all the volunteer hours, on top of all the shadowing. And mind you, I was working a full-time job and a side hustle. So I was like, all right, Lord, I'm not satisfied in what I'm currently doing, and I don't want to move away from my husband. I'm just going to chill and I'll just see where this goes. And now I'm talking to you.
And see, it just wasn't the right timing or the right thing. And that's to me why you didn't get into those schools.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like anything to do with you. It was the universe kind of like saying, no, 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 no,
Mm-mm.
no, don't push this. This is not the path you're supposed to be in. Stay
Mm-mm.
focused.
But the thing that was like really, really, really actually now I'm re-looking at the situation, looking at the COVID thing too. Like because I revisited the med school and because I revisited that, it was in 2019. I revisited all the sciences, all that stuff, your biochemistry, you're learning about DNA, RNA, viruses, you're learning about all those things. So then when COVID happened and all this stuff they're talking about, I'm like, what is this? Because I just finished studying biochemistry and I made sure I got an A in that class and I was the top highest or grade person, whatever, in that class. And so these people are talking about COVID, this, spike proteins, RNA, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, what? Y'all are about to try to mess with my RNA? Like, I literally just took a biochemistry course. Like, what is this?
Wow. Wow.
like,
Wow.
so like when you see like that timing thing, it was a much bigger thing than just medical school. I needed to understand how DNA and RNA works for 2020. Like,
Amazing. Wow. Wow. And what a gift to have that because there were so many of us that didn't understand it and just were kind of blindly going through life in, yes, 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 whatever, just get us out of this mess. So
mhm,
much to unpack there. I don't even know if we
I
want to go there, but
know.
yeah,
But
yeah,
it's those divine things, though, Donna, that you're talking about, like you get these inklings, you get these things, you don't know why you're doing something, you're trying to find your way and blah, 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 blah. And like to tie together what you said about the optimism and believing that everything works out for you, it does. Because not only was I able to question things in 2020, there's a lot of the cycles and the patterns and stuff I was able to remember from studying those things. And now that goes into my work.
amazing, amazing. Yeah, it all kind of comes together.
It does. It does. You got me fired up.
Yeah. Keep it going. Keep it going. Keep the fire going.
So, 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 so turning back to you and your transformational journey. Um, I guess like so you had a pivot in 2023.
Yeah. And there was a pivot in 2020 and a
Mm-hmm.
pivot in 2008. And
Okay.
it's like there, I don't know if there's like a numeric pattern. I never thought of it, but yeah, there have been several pivots and they've all come from external crises. 2020 as well with COVID. They've all
Mm,
come from like external forces with forces in the world that I didn't necessarily control, but forced me to have to make changes.
yeah. And
And
mhm.
and yeah, no, I'm just saying, and it's like that's those are the defining moments where you're like, am I going to shrivel up and die now, or am I going to grow into something else?
Yeah. And you grew. You grew.
Luckily, luckily, I was very fortunate to be able to do it because I'm sure there's people that despite the best of intentions haven't been able to find the right path. I don't know what it is, what sets people apart that are able to find you know I'm sure you know the term Ikigai.
Oh, I've heard of it. Yeah. Mhm.
Ikigai. So it's for those of you that are listening, look it up because it's a beautiful kind of Japanese sort of flower where in the middle is your meaning, yourself, like, and then the four petals are what you're good at, what you love doing, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. And if you're in that center of that, you're living your best life. You're living your reason for being. And to be able to find that and to build a career around that is such an incredible gift. And even if it has to be readjusted at times, okay, world's needs change during COVID. Suddenly, the needs became not in-person workshops or meetings. It became being able to do this remote. And it took some time to recalibrate that into, okay, now most of my meetings are done remotely. I adore when I had a live public speech last week. And it was so much fun to be in the room with people. I still don't take it for granted, even though we're 5 years from this crazy, exactly, right? February,
Mhm.
March, it was all starting to happen.
Mhm.
Um, but it's finding the growth in the devastation. And I can't explain how I think it's part luck, part grit, part um, grabbing opportunities. So you come from the Christian ideology. I'm Jewish.
Mm.
And how do you say congratulations in Jewish, in Hebrew? Mazel tov, right?
Mhm.
So mazel is luck,
Mhm.
but it's also an acronym, three
Oh,
letters in Hebrew. And it's makom zman liot, place, time, to be. So it's being at the right place and the right time and having, it's like you create that space of luck. And that's serendipity too. But it's
yeah.
like, how can we facilitate being in those places by saying yes, by looking at these opportunities, by trying new things? Some of them will work and some of them won't. But again, that's the whole idea of Seneca also said luck is where preparation meets hard work.
Mhm.
You can't just expect it to happen. Like, why can't I get a bit of luck in this world? Why? No, you gotta work for it. You look at
Yeah.
people like, oh, they're so lucky. Yeah, but what have they done to get to this place where they look so lucky? They've
Yeah.
worked their butts off for it.
Exactly. 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 And that's part of the reason why I started this podcast too, Donna, because like when I was going through my thing, I was trying to find pieces of information and pieces of inspiration to help keep me going. I couldn't find anything. So I'm like, okay, I guess I have to figure this out on my own. And then like people were just like starting up podcasts around me and they were like, you should start one too. I'm like, "Huh? You should start one too." I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'll share what I went through and how I got through it because I couldn't find it, like, to
It's the
show
right
like
time.
you gotta work hard. It's hard work.
Mhm.
It's up
Yeah.
to you.
It's hard work, but once you've done the work, it flows effortlessly. It just
It's
flows.
so easy.
Yeah. you got to work to frame it, to get it in place, to learn it, to get, and then it's like, if you're on the right track, it just flows.
Yeah, exactly. It's effortlessly. It's
Mhm.
effortlessly. Yeah. Yeah. Because even in like my day to day right now, like there's some situations that go on with a client or something. You know, I work with a lot of so I'm in the corporate space. Like I serve corporate clients, and so I work with a lot of like directors, directors, senior directors, those type of things. And so it's like there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on, right? And it's like, okay, I know myself. I know I'm secure in myself. I love my life and I love my work. So I'm just going to stay focused on the work and staying focused on being a very happy person as I'm seeing all these people, like just the natural human nature of being in that type of environment. And then you just see everything just take care of itself. There's nothing that I need to do to intervene in anything, just because you stay aligned, you have your operating manual of how you are in good situations and tricky situations. And then everything just really just works itself out because you did the work.
Yeah. And it's keeping the faith again in the moments of doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
I think you'll have to go through a few of these really life shaking moments to see the pattern and to say, oh, we're here again. Okay. What did we learn from the last one? It's pulling out your playbook, dusting it off, taking the cobwebs off and saying, okay, what can I learn about the last time? So that's what happened in 2020 when COVID was shutting down the world. I looked back at my 2008 playbook, which had, the financial crisis that hit the world
Wow.
completely eradicated my business. I was traveling all over giving workshops on presentation and business writing skills, which had been a pivot in from my master's degree, which is in drama therapy, which I went to study because I love acting and I love people, but I something in me knew that I didn't want to be waiting tables when I was 30, still waiting for my big break. So I wanted to do something proactive that captured my love of theater and performance as much into a place that I could make a living. And I knew I never wanted to be dependent on someone else. And then I had this amazing job that took me all over, traveling, meeting people from South Africa to Taiwan to Denmark to Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, and giving these workshops and meeting people. But then in 2008, an entire year got canceled at once. And it was frightening. Now, I wasn't married at the time. I wasn't a mom at the time, but still, I was like, I've never had a job. I've always done things for myself. Even this, I was a subcontractor. Like, what do I do now? And it took a while to kind of get my grounding and build up through that. So when it happened again in 2020, that work got canceled because suddenly the world was shutting down. Suddenly clients couldn't pay for work I'd already done. Suddenly, clients that I had on the calendar were canceling because their startups were no longer relevant. They had physical, in-person, whatever products that the world changed overnight.
It did.
And then it was like, okay, this feels familiar. I've been here before in a different form factor. Okay, so what do I do? What have I learned? So what I learned is if you bring your true value and maybe in a different packaging that matches the needs of the world, you will always have work. You will always have um, clients. You will always have bounty. And I was like, okay, what does the world need now? Okay, everybody's going to be at home. Everybody's working from home. People don't know how to present in person, nonetheless,
Online.
remotely. So I
Yeah.
started giving trainings. At first, like I offered them as like pre kind of previews because people were like scared with the budget. And little by little, it started to evolve. So I was giving these trainings on how to present on Zoom. I took one of my workshops, repurposed it, and just put it out there in the world. And then clients started to come back as it stabilized, but everything was being done through Zoom. I was very comfortable on Zoom because I was already a paying subscriber. I'd already been in that place. So I had no problem to transfer it. And if anything, it made me even sharper. And I can get a pitch deck done end to end in 2 hours in real time with the client. So it just sharpened those powers.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, even in shaky times, even in tumultuous times, if you have that footing and you know yourself and you know your talents and your skills and your value, I teach a workshop called the X Factor where help people kind of define those things and tell your own personal brand story, then you're like, okay, how can I take that unique X factor, that unique thing that I have that I bring to the table and augment it? Okay, now is the era of AI. I could be terrified that AI is just going to take over my business, or I can embrace it and say, okay, how can I use this to elevate it? It's
Exactly.
all a question of how we choose to view it, how we choose
Exactly.
to
Exactly. Donna, this was fantastic. It's so funny when we were on Joe's podcast. I thought we were gonna go like a different direction. Like I thought we were gonna go to like the childhood stuff, but we went into transformational
Oh
stuff, how to
boy. Oh
rise
boy. We didn't
up,
even get to
how to use
childhood.
a
Oh, we touched a
pivot.
little bit on childhood. But yeah, yeah. You never know. I love these interviews where you just like never know where they're gonna head.
Exactly, me either. I never know how they're gonna head, and that's what makes it so much fun. That's what makes it so much fun. It's so incredibly fun, and I learned so much. And like,
Your heart, I feel it. It's right here. From California to Florida, the two sunshine states that we probably could go outside and take a lovely walk outside right now, right?
literally, like what I'm about to do. Like after we get off of here, enjoy the sunset and stuff.
Yes,
It's so beautiful.
yes,
God,
yes. It is. What a blessing. Sunsets are my favorite.
they are. Oh, you probably have beautiful ones out in California. Oh my
Well,
God.
if in Silicon Valley, we're kind of like a little bit further away from the
Mhm.
coast than I would like to be, but we're half an hour drive literally where we could go see a sunset. So
Yeah.
yeah, west just the sunset. You guys have the sunrises, the
Yeah.
like yeah.
No, I'm never awake for the sunrise, but I think one of
That
these
was what
days I
was
want
fun
to do
about
like.
traveling to Hawaii was the first time I was actually up at the hour of
Oh,
a sunrise. So it's pretty
you.
remarkable to be able to. Yeah, because you've got jet lag, because you've gone back in time. And then it's like, oh, wow, well, might as well go out and see the sunrise. And
Oh
we
my
drove to the
God.
top of the volcano in Maui and at 4 a.m. and watched the sunrise over the clouds. It was incredible. It was one of those like once in a lifetime kind of moments. Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
I
Don, now you have that trip
know.
ingrained in my mind. So I'm going to do that for one of my birthdays or
Yes,
anniversary now. Like, what?
you got it. I'll give you our Maui plan. Yeah, it was
Yeah, that
amazing.
sounds
It was before the
incredible.
fires. Yeah. Yeah, but I think they've rebuilt and I've heard like, they really need people coming back. So this might be a good time. Maybe this is your little
It might be
signal
my
from
year
the
then.
universe.
It might be my
Hawaii,
year.
Hawaii.
We
Yes.
might go to Hawaii for my
Yeah.
birthday. Okay.
Hey, do
Yeah.
it. That was amazing.
And I just love the greenery. Wow. All right, let me ask you one last question.
Yeah.
If you could give your top three pieces of advice for anyone who feels like they're currently in a pivot, what would it be?
Okay. I think I've said most of them, but I'll just kind of recap. One, um, don't let the circumstances paralyze you and kind of write your story. Let yourself be upset, let yourself be disappointed, let yourself mourn. That's fine. Give yourself X amount of time and then get back up and say, okay, what are the things I can do to now adapt or change or whatever you want to call it and use this as like the fuel to move forward. So that's one. Two, have the faith that your talents and your skills are going to adapt, to travel with you, even if you're pivoting. Like you have that, maybe you're meant to bring it to another audience, another industry, another form factor, another something, and you might find yourself having even more fun because once you know what you're great at and what you love doing, and something you can get paid for it in the world needs, those are two probably the most dynamic things. So keep your pulse on who else needs your talents and skills.
Hmm.
And three, don't get discouraged by the voices. When people are like, people sometimes live in the space of misery loves company and they want to bring you down and they want to keep you at their level of misery. Oh, that's not going to work. Oh, that's a stupid idea. Oh, nobody's ever going to pay for for startups will never pay for pitch decks. Okay. built a business and become like the leader in that space in storytelling for startups. So had I listened to any of those voices, maybe I'd be working some corporate communications job and
Yeah.
making
Yeah.
100K a year at best, and been okay, but never have achieved the thought leadership position that I have.
Yeah.
So listen to the voices, but don't let them, like, learn what they're trying to say, but don't let them be what stops you. Listen to your
That
own inner
last,
voice. We have
yeah.
it here. We have it right here. And it's like a muscle. And I think women have it more than men. We have more organs there. And
Yeah.
it's like the more you listen in to those twinges and electricity, the stronger they're going to get. Just like any muscle that you work,
Yeah. Yeah.
the stronger
Yeah.
that muscle will get.
Yeah.
Intuition.
That last
That's
piece, that last piece, that number three, I think that was the one that hasn't come up in the conversation. And that is so incredibly important because sometimes you could find yourself like trying to go, you recognize the cycle and you're trying to get out of it and you talk to the wrong person, they tell you to do the wrong thing, and then you go into the cycle again.
Yeah, yeah. And be careful. Be careful of who you let into your space. Be careful of who you let, there are a lot of, I mean, I have a friend that she says she's going to this retreat in LA, and I read the website and it just screamed cult to me. And I'm like, oh my God. And she got
Oh,
mad when I said something. And it was out of a place of love and protection. She's like, I'm strong enough. I know I'm smart enough. I'm like, you do you. And something in me is like, oh my God, I hope she does. But you know what? She's going to learn in her way. I just hope not much damage is done, because sometimes when we're in transitions, we're very vulnerable
yeah.
to voices that are not necessarily the right ones. And I hope I'm wrong here. I really do. But it's not my life, it's hers. So I can,
Yeah.
you can only do so much for people that you love. You can be a voice
Yeah.
in the back of their head. But again, you're one of those voices, and they're the same thing. You do what feels right for you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Donna. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Jessica. It was so
Yeah.
great.
I could relate to that story so much more than you even know. And I'm learning a couple things from those type of situations. When you see when you take a step back and you see the type of experience you have compared to your friend, for example, and you give them advice and you know that you probably know probably you're most likely right. So probabilistic, let's say 80-20, you're most likely 80% right, 20. It comes to a point where it's like, okay, one, I can't intervene, and then two, and then two, I'm not sure how much you respect my experience in certain things, So then you just kind of
Even if it's a respect, or if like maybe they're not ready to hear that, maybe
maybe,
I just also got the feeling like by the resistance, I'm like, people, if they're really sure of it, will not get offended or upset or lash
yeah,
back on you. And if you're totally secure in it, like, so
yeah,
even if like there's a seed of doubt and I added to that seed of doubt, so at least maybe she's aware. And then I just
yeah,
dropped it and I apologized to her for,
yeah,
if she felt wronged by me, and we moved on.
yeah, yeah,
But if maybe that like seed is somewhere in there, that she'll just watch out for herself a little bit more,
yeah,
then I've done what I can do.
yeah, 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 yeah. I'm like still kind of sorting through the of that, like how do you support a friend? It's just something I'm just in the back of my mind. Like, how do you
Whole
support?
other conversation, whole other,
Exactly. It
we'll
is.
have to get together
We have
sometime
to
and
get
talk
that
about it.
one. It's definitely in the back of my mind. And yeah. So we'll have a part two at some point, Donna, because I would
I would
love
love
to
that.
just explore that one with you.
I would love that. I would love that. I would
Oh,
love that.
wonderful. And then where can people find you?
So donnagriffit.com. There's no H at the end. It's like Melanie without the H. My father-in-law, who's a famous artist, when he went to study in Florence, he changed his last name, and I don't, he said it was a name of a famous boxer. So I don't know if he forgot to put on the H, or that boxer didn't have the H at the end, but it's always a conversation piece. So donnagriffit.com. You can find a lot of resources there. You can reach out and schedule a call if you are working on any storytelling issues. My book also, Sticking to My Story, The Alchemy of Storytelling for Startups is on Amazon in paperback, ebook, Kindle, and an audiobook as well. So pick your way of consumption. And it's great, even not for startups, just in terms of storytelling and how it can really power our lives.
Wonderful, 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 wonderful. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Donna. This was incredible. So much gems. Like, and you know, your story, your pivot, your transformation, I'm sure it's going to help so many people who are trying to figure out what to do with themselves. So thank
And
you
please
so
reach out
much.
and feel free to tell me because, hearing from people that anything that we said here touched you or made you think is such a gift to know that someone was like listened and thought differently or acted differently. So let us know.